Description: today you and I are crossing paths for a reason. Maybe just once we'll connect, or maybe we see each other often from now on. Either way, I hope that the message I share of how powerful you truly are serves you well. The videos are always about you, because you are what matters most to the universe of which we are not separate. I believe that since a young age you have always intuitively known how special you are, and that this meeting space will help us to remember the spark within us. Tune in and listen for yourself. Listen for yourself. Let the spark become a bonfire inferno of godlike power and realization, as you were always destined to be.
Quite a big change is arriving in our lives. I think you'd agree that since this winter began, some pretty big transformations have been born. And I know that you and I are connected, and that we're not having this relationship together on accident by any means. So I know that you're going through it too, and that we're really together in this transformation process. Now, recently I made a video where I spoke about the path less traveled. And what I wanted to share with you today is a little bit more about this. And I believe that what I'm about to share with you isn't going to be the first time you've ever considered it. But I believe that possibly today you and me can walk away from this experience we're about to share together, and maybe this can be the first time we really utilize it and apply it. So, if you had somebody that was in charge of telling you everything that you're allowed to wear, what you're supposed to eat, what you're supposed to do today, how you're supposed to respond to what somebody else says or something that's going on in your life. Essentially, if you have someone that's telling you everything that you think and believe and act on, then it stands to reason that that is your master, right? Then that you are a slave. When you have a master, it implies that you're a slave. You have a master, you're a slave. So we would acknowledge if there was somebody else in our lives, like say you're in a toxic relationship, for an example, and the person that you're dating is like acting like they're in charge of everything you're supposed to do and you're at their every whim, then you would recognize that there's something wrong there. Most people would. What we're not realizing is that this is exactly how we are behaving to our mind, meaning we allow our mind to tell us what to think, what to believe, what to wear, what to eat, what to do, what to watch at night on TV, what to do with our free time, what to do with our work time. Isn't that true? Aren't you letting your mind dictate your entire life for you? So this is where we've made a mistake. We are living as a slave to our mind, as if our mind owns us, but it's not the case. Your mind doesn't own you. You own your mind, right? So a lot of where this problem comes from is a misidentification. And the way I want to explain that is by implying that your mind isn't you. So you are not your mind, and your mind is not the master of who you are either. Your mind is literally a tool. Just the same way a hammer is a tool. If you were going to do a certain job, you want to nail this piece of wood to this piece of wood because you're building a desk, then you'd pick up a hammer and you'd use it to nail the wood together, right? That's sanity. Understanding the tool of the hammer and using it for its intended purpose. But you wouldn't walk away after nailing the piece of wood together that you were nailing and use that hammer to eat your bowl of cereal as if it's a spoon. You wouldn't straddle up on top of the hammer and ride it to work as if it's a car. Right? You wouldn't talk to it as if it's your friend. You wouldn't, try to bathe yourself with it. The point being that you understand that a hammer is a tool and it has an intended purpose. You don't confuse that you are the hammer. You don't start to believe that you're the hammer. You don't start to use it for things it was never intended for. This is the madness that we've been experiencing in our lives. As a human society and a culture, you can see it all around you. People believe they are the mind, and they use that tool that is the mind for everything. They use their mind to make decisions. They use their mind to decide what to eat. They use their mind to tell them what to do, to where to go. This is not what the mind is for. That's, again, the example. I'm using it humorously on purpose of using a hammer to eat your cereal and drive it to work. So we have both, as a society and a civilization and in our own individual lives, which is the only place you and I can take responsibility right now. If we can take responsibility in our personal lives, then we can experience a real transformation and a real elevation of consciousness and a real waking up. And when we're awake, then we can exercise more responsibility in our society, in our culture, on a global scale, across our own state boundaries, so we can actually be a better help to people, is what I'm saying. We could be a better help to this planet. And if you've noticed something, just a slight side tangent, there are certain bacteria and things like this that live within us. And I'm not an expert in this area, but there are certain bacteria that live within us. We are their vehicle of life. And they have learned how to benefit us. So there are certain things living within us that are benefited by us, and we also benefit by them. But imagine there was a being that was living within you, like a parasite, for example, that was living off of you but actually damages you. This is not an intelligent species that would live within us, because ultimately it would cause us to become sick and ill, and we would either remove that parasite from within us so it loses its home, or we would die and then it loses its host. So there are very intelligent things living within us that actually benefit us because it's in the highest good of all. It's a symbiotic relationship. I believe that that is how we should be living with each other and with the planet. A symbiotic relationship where we all thrive together. But we're not thriving. We're suffering, and we're spreading that suffering to each other and to our planet. And the way that I see it is so much of this, not all of it, but so much of this comes from us trying to use the mind for everything and thinking that we are the mind. So here's the point. We have feelings, thoughts, ideas, beliefs, all of this inner reality happening. But those beliefs and those feelings and those thoughts and those ideas aren't you. They're something that you're having, right? So it doesn't make sense to let those thoughts, feelings, ideas, and beliefs have you. You should be the one having them, but that's not how we're living. We're letting our mind have us. We're letting it be our master. You see this? So the path less traveled, and if you missed that video, that's okay. You don't have to watch it, but you can. It's the video that was posted just before this one. You can find it on my page if you want to. And the point of the path less traveled is that if you want to walk forward without following your mind or your beliefs. Because when you do this, you are incredibly limited. But who you really are is infinite and eternal and unlimited. And what I'd like for you and I to be able to do throughout this winter is allow this transformation that's taking place in our lives to expand, and that we actually wake up and apply it. Meaning that we don't let this video be just an idea or a new philosophy or a new belief to attach ourselves to. I am not the mind. Okay, yeah, I get it. That makes sense. If that's how you're operating, then you've missed the point, because you are still being your mind. You're still allowing your mind to use you. What I wanted to share with you today isn't just some new idea or some new belief that's going to set you free. No belief can set you free, because all beliefs are binding chains. The reason for this is because your beliefs are like clouds in front of your face. You cannot see the true reality happening in front of you. You only see your idea and beliefs about it. Do you see the difference? So the path less traveled is about walking forward in life, moving forward in our experience, but us being the one that takes those steps, us being the one that makes decisions, not our mind. The same way that a hammer is intended to put a nail through a piece of wood, for example, and then you'd set it down, the mind is intended to formulate certain ideas about things, certain processes to help you to analyze, just like a computer, what is happening around you. Mainly so that you can spot danger, and mainly so that you can come up with ideas using your imagination to create new things that didn't exist before. We only have houses. We have houses, right? Because somebody imagined it first, and then they actually built it. But what so many of us are doing is we're letting our mind use us, so we're letting it come up with all these imagined ideas and find danger in places that danger doesn't exist in our today's day and age. And there's no danger in terms of like, we're not being attacked by animals, and most of us aren't experiencing horrible suffering in our physical reality. And yet we suffer severely. Have you noticed that? We suffer severely. Our mind will find problems with everything. That person looked at me the wrong way. What's this person thinking about me? What if I don't achieve this goal? Blah, blah, blah. Come on. We're just making up problems at this point. Why are we making up so many problems? Is because we are so inside of our mind and we don't know who we really are. We aren't setting this tool down. And so this tool is just nonstop processing and coming up with danger and ideas and imagination and fantasy because we haven't figured out how to set it down and move on. If you want to get from point A to point B, whatever that means to you in your own life, then you can pick up your mind just like you'd pick up a hammer and use it for its intended purpose. Come up with some ideas, allow your imagination to ruminate, right? But then once you have that image, that visualization, that idea of what you're going to create or the solution to whatever challenge it is that you've chosen to focus on in your life, now you set down the mind and you move forward and you take conscious action and you do that. And some people are taking conscious action after their mind comes up with something, but they're still having their mind use them. They're still suffering. There's still nonstop noise in the mind, constantly blah, 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 blah. All about it. And it's a big deal. It's a big deal because 99.9% of people living their lives are living it 99.99999% of the time, not in actual reality, but in their head. And I don't want you or I to miss out on this incredible opportunity of being alive and living here in this place. But we're missing it. When we're in our mind so much, it's like our head is shoved up our butt and we're not seeing what is in front of us. And when we don't see clearly in front of us because we've got too many thoughts and ideas and feelings and emotions that we think are all us, the problem here is now we can't act clearly. We can't operate clearly in our lives. It's not possible. We make delusional choices, and those delusional choices hurt ourselves, each other, and the planet. And that's what I believe we are in the process of realizing our own freedom of. So here's the point. A lot of people think you're supposed to silence the mind. So you might be thinking, well, Nathan, how do I get my mind to be quiet and to stop doing incessant things? Well, here's the thing. Your mind has been designed and evolved and has so much information and infinite intelligence. Like, you could think about it like this. The universe has created this extraordinary mind that has allowed us to evolve to the place that we are. But now to make it to the next step of evolution, all we need to really do isn't silence the mind. Because our mind is not a bad thing. Its thinking, its processing, its ideas are not bad. What's bad is us believing that it's us. Do you see the difference here? So the goal isn't to silence your mind. If you want to do that, just go get a doctor that'll give you a lobotomy and you can have absolute bliss of no thoughts for the rest of your life. You can be that guy if you want. Go get a lobotomy, sure. Take a lot of drugs to help yourself silence your brain. I've been there. I understand why you might make those kinds of decisions to nullify and pacify your thinking because it gives you peace. But there's a different kind of peace that comes from when you hear your mind coming up with ideas. It's like just walking by your house and seeing the hammer in your toolbox on the table. You see it, but you know it's not you. So you don't pick it up and start using it because you're in the process of doing something else. You see the difference? So I'm going to be talking about this more on the channel and hopefully finding it within myself to explain it better so that I'm not just giving you vapor or fumes of an idea, because I don't want you to walk away from these videos with some new idea or belief, because that's actually not going to aid you. So I'm going to do my best to come up with real ways that we can work through these kinds of things together, if that makes sense. Just to be honest with you guys, I'm not really somebody to follow or take my direction on all of these things, because the truth is I'm not in front of you in this process. I'm right here in it with you, if that makes sense. Like, this is a kind of path that we walk together. And I just wanted to make that clear, because my recent video that I made inspired my friend to basically schedule a short coaching call, and they said it's okay if I mention this to you guys in this video, but I'm going to change their name. Basically, Joe felt from the most recent video I made that I have something figured out that I could share with them and help them to understand better. And I realized that sometimes I have a certain way about me that makes it seem like I know something. But the truth is that if you're feeling that kind of magnetism coming off of me, it's not actually because I know something that you don't. It's more actually along the lines of I don't know as many things. I don't have as many beliefs. So I'm more free from that kind of weight, for example. Because when you think about it, all the things you know, all your beliefs and ideas about things, they weigh a lot. That's a certain kind of heaviness that we carry throughout our lives. So if you ever feel like I've got something that I can give you that you don't already have, it's not true. If there's anything that I do have, it's that I have less, if that makes sense. I've got less going on in my field of beliefs and ideas, so I'm more free from that kind of weight. So I just wanted to throw that out there, that I'm not somebody to follow on this path. I'm just somebody that's walking it with you. And I wanted to make that clear. So thank you guys very much. I hope to see you for the next video.